Welcome everyone back to another Hall of Fame Bets live stream. And today we're going to be testing out some of the MLB tools. This should be a really fun one. No NBA games, so we're going to take a look at today's MLB slate and take a look at things. Want to shout out everyone down below in the live chat. Shout out Daniel, shout out everyone tuning in. We're going to get started over here, and as always, make sure to drop some plays that you guys have already researched for tonight. Some player props, some parlays that you want us to take a look through here on the live stream. And we're going to get things started. And of course, we're going to go over to our trusty trends tool. I'm just pulling up the chat on my phone real quick, guys. Want to make sure we can see everyone that's here. But again, I appreciate you guys all tuning in for the stream tonight. And yeah, I think, we've been focused a lot on NBA recently. And of course, there will still be plenty and plenty of NBA stuff, right? But MLB season is getting started now, so we want to make sure we're locked in with this too, especially when NBA playoffs end. So let's jump into this here. First thing I want to take a look at is our trends tool. And like I said, let's see what you guys got. Zach says he has under 0.5 strikeouts. He says for Arias is the lock of the century. Vidal says, I told you Rui would have over at least 14.5 last week. Nice job, Vidal. Very well researched there, my friend. And then Daniel says, put $3 on number 8 for me. Lol. So I'm going to go over here. Guys, what I love with the trends tool is this strikeouts one. So I'll hit strikeouts, and then I'll go last 20 because I'll get data from this and last season for these pitchers. And then I'll come through here and I'll take a look at and see, some of that data, right? So I actually like to do strikeouts, and then I'll do hits allowed, and then I'll also throw in some earned runs as well, and just take a look at some of these pitcher ones, right off the bat. Couple of these look pretty good. How do we feel about Yu Darvish over 4.5 hits allowed? That could be an interesting one there. I see Sean. Welcome, Sean. He says Arias has been so a lot today. He says Christian Walker 2+ RBIs. All right, we'll take a look at that one in a second here. So we'll go hits allowed for Darvish. We'll go to 4.5 and see what we have here. And we want, of course, the over. So this is pulling. Oh, that's home runs. I meant to put hits allowed. I was like, that's interesting. So hits allowed, and we went over, 5+. So Darvish has gone over this, let's see, in 2024. And both starts in 2024. And he's pitched 3 innings, 5 innings, and 7 innings in those starts, right? Okay, so that's pretty interesting there. But hit 5 exactly in his 2 starts so far this season, and then the first one only allowed 2 hits, if that's correct. And then we go last 20, and we see he's gone over in 67% of this last 20. What about in home games? 80% of the last 20. Sorry, that was on the season. And then in 75% of home games, so still quite good there. Let's see if he played the Cubs at all last year. Did he play Chicago? Went under in his game against Chicago, so maybe that's a little bit questionable. Another thing I like to do, guys, I like to pull up the leaderboards. I'll go to teams, and then I will go to team strikeouts. Where is it? I'll go to batting, and then I will go to team strikeouts, and then I'll go averages. And we can see in 2024 who's averaging strikeouts. Or in this case, we would probably want hits, right? So we could go to hits. We could see hits-wise where everyone is roughly. And we could see the Cubs rank 9th most in hits this season. So their team putting the ball in play, recording lots of hits, which is really good information to know. In this case, though, we did go under in their head-to-head last season. And then also, let's see. The rank filter, we're not deep enough in the season yet, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think this overall looks pretty solid. The head-to-head against the Cubs is maybe the questionable part here. I think everything else kind of checks out. We'll be curious to know your guys' thoughts down below in the live chat. I'll pull one of your guys' up now. So let's take a look at Arias under 0.5 strikeouts. This is from Zach, excuse me. And yeah, guys, these strikeout ones, batter strikeouts, can be a really great place, I think, to make some money potentially. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about that Darvish one in the chat. We see Sean, Keon all coming with stuff. So let's take a look there at some of the stuff that you guys have sent in. Really curious to see what you guys have for us. Okay. So we go to, Arias under 0.5 here. 0.5. We'll take the under. That's for hits, but we want strikeouts, of course. We don't want to go under hits for Arias. So under 0.5. Okay. So this season, this has hit in roughly 50% of games. So kind of right on what the sports book is offering us. We could go in away games. 1 of 3 away games. Pretty small sample size. I may dip. We'll see if he's played. New York hasn't. I think I'll dip back into some of last season's data for this. So last season, right? Last season, or in the last 20 games, he had gone under quite a bit. We'll see here for last season. So in games last season, he had gone under in 77% of games, right? So that looks pretty good. However, this season, it's a little bit of a different picture. And this was a breakout season for him last year. So this season, 5 out of 10 games. Let's see last year in away games, right? Let's see how that impacted things. 69% of away games. We could see against specific starting pitchers. Doesn't look like he faced Cortez last season. I believe Cortez is left-handed, though. 75% of games against left-handed starting pitchers. Has he faced any lefties this season? However, this season struck out in 3 of 5 games against left-handed starters. Okay. And let's see if there's any other data. Did he play New York? I mean, again, the starting pitcher, from my opinion, is far more important than head-to-head here. Went under in all 3 against New York, but the starting pitcher is most important there. So if we're going off Arias from last season, right, we would love to tail this. However, his start to this season, this was sent in by Zach, makes me a little bit more nervous, particularly against the left-handers. Not saying it can't hit, right? I think it's offered at roughly what it should be offered at, and I think based on this season, and we have a little positive edge based on last season. So that's my take of it, Zach. But yeah, nice research there. Appreciate you sending that in. Let's go to Sean's one. We'll go to Christian Walker 2+ RBIs. Christian Walker. And again, we're going 2+ RBIs here. This is being sent in by our friend Sean, guys. And as we're researching, guys, if you're enjoying these tools that you're seeing, check out the link in our description to subscribe to Hall of Fame Bets. This is where all this research is from, and you can use the promo code to get 25% off your first month. So yes, we have 2+ RBIs for Walker, and this is hit in this season in 2024. This is hit in 30% of games, so it looks like 3 of 10. Okay, that's on par with what the sportsbook's giving us. Last season, this hit in, let's see here, 14% of games, plus 116. So quite a significant negative edge based on a larger sample size. Though, it's kind of on par for this season. But again, 10 games, really small sample size when we think of a whole MLB season. I'd be curious to see last season in away games. 14% of away games. I'd be curious to see against the starting pitcher. So this is an interesting insight here from Sean, which is, last season against Freeland, he recorded 2 RBIs in 2 out of 4 games. Now that's pretty good information here. And then I would go, let's see, against similar left-handed starting pitchers, 21%. So it seems to be, right, Walker batting quite significantly better against left-handed starters, in particular Freeland, negative edge overall. What I would say, right, at plus 390, this is one you probably, if you play it a little bit safer, maybe because you're going to get some good upside here with that plus 290. So I wonder what 1+ RBI would be. I'm just curious. That's minus 110. He's hit 1+ RBI in 60% of games. Positive edge there. If we go to against Freeland, right, it's still probably going to be that same. Looks like, yeah, because he had 2 RBIs in both those games. I'd be curious to see against Colorado. They're playing in Colorado, right, guys? Which is a little bit more of a batter-friendly ballpark. I'd be curious to see actually when he went over against Freeland, were those games played? One was in Colorado. And he went over in the game in Colorado, right? More of a batter-friendly ballpark there. So that's something to keep note of. So I'd be curious to see, just in general, obviously, in away games against Colorado, how this shifts. Right? I like that. Hitting 83% of away games against Colorado, showing, that Coors Field is a huge advantage. So I really like that. Sean. And you know what? I think, again, this is one at 2 RBIs. If you want to go 2, right, this is performed quite well. You played a little safer. If you want to go 1, you can put a little bit more on it. But, Sean, thank you for sharing this one. And, again, for everyone else, it's a matter of you weighing your own pros and cons. But, yes, we have Christian Walker for 2+ RBI shared by our friend Sean. All right. We're going to move here into Keon Davis. He says, Paredes for over 1.5 home runs. Is that correct? Is it home runs? He says, I really like that prop. So we're going to go Paredes. We're going to take a look here and see. Hits, runs, RBIs. Got it. Sorry, I didn't read that fully. So we have hits, runs, and RBIs here, and it was over 1.5. I don't see anything being offered here. Keon, what was this being offered for by your sportsbook? It's not showing up or just popping up here. You know what I mean? On our odds listed. So we're not getting those odds currently. But so this is hit. Excuse me. 2, 4, 6, 7 of 9 this season. Off to a really great start. And again, this is where we're gonna need to know the odds. So if Keon, if you could share those, I would love to see that. Hit in 65. It hit in. Let's see here. 46% of games last season. And we can see it hit in 42% of away games. I'd be curious to see, do we have any starting pitcher data? Yes. Did well against Anderson last season. That's a big insight, right? Let's see against the Angels in general. Maybe we could see in away games to see how he performed. Away games 203. And he's off to a really hot start to start the season. So I quite like this one as well. I think if we look at recent performances, we go back to last season and we see against the starting pitcher, it's performed. We see overall last season in away games hitting 42%. That's where I want to know what the odds we're getting for on this, Keon. He says I'm checking. But based on the odds, if this is in like the plus, 100, 105, 110 range, I think I'm really liking this. As this is being offered for minus 150 or minus 170, I'd be a little bit more hesitant. So that's where it kind of matters. But other than that, I really like this prop. I'm going to take a couple more of your guys's. I really appreciate you sharing these. But I'm just going to quickly go over to our trends feature and go see if there's anything else we can find for tonight that we really like. I see Evans sharing Corey Seager home run. I see Joseph sharing Garcia to record a hit plus 100. Yeah. So I think I quite like that one then because of that odds range we're in. And just to explain that for anyone wondering, is it still loaded? Yeah. So we're looking at, based on games last season, it's plus 140. So that's a little bit of a negative edge there, probably about a 7% negative edge. However, things I do like are there's a strong positive edge to start the season. Against the starting pitcher, it performed well, and he performed well away at the Angels last season too in Anaheim. So, Keon, thank you for sharing that one. Again, going back over to trends here, guys, here's a list of different props that we have. What do we think about, this is still on last 20, it is Mike Mikolas over 6.5 hits allowed. This would be an interesting one to look at. So let's see here what we have for Mike Mikolas, 6.5 hits allowed. So we're going to go hits allowed, 6.5. Okay. So this season, this is hitting both games so far this season. And let's see what this was being offered at here. This was being offered. Where did it go? Mike, where did you go, Mike? Mike. Was it on this? Where did I find this? I'm going to close the ones I've been using. So we're going to go. It's being offered at plus 110 over 6.5 hits allowed. And this is being offered on Caesars, actually. So it's gone over in both games this season. We could see last season, this hit in 67% of home games. Strong positive edge there. How about against Philly, right? Philly are a good team. Gone over in both games against Philly. I really like that. So for me, we're checking a lot of boxes here. Both games to start the season. We're seeing against Philly it went over, and in home games a positive edge, guys. So if you have Caesars, I really like Miles Mikolas over 6.5 hits allowed. Hopefully this one's a good one for you guys then tonight. Moving back over to our chat now. I'm going to run back up here. Marlins money line first 5 innings. This is being shared by Vidal. So we're going to go to Marlins. And we're going to go over here. First 5 innings. That's interesting. Okay. Let's see. I think we can sort by... We only have first inning totals here. That's something I'll mention. I think we had those last year. I'll make sure those get added back to the website. One thing to be concerned of would be the Marlins, losing record to start the season, but that doesn't have data for the first 5. So I'm going to move on to our next one. Sorry about that, Vidal. I'll check in with that on our team. He says over 8 runs for Mariners, Blue Jays. We can take a look at that one. Let's go over here to Blue Jays. The Blue Jays aren't a team that have changed too much. The Mariners, I'm not as sure about off the top of my head. So we're going to go total runs, over 8. So the Blue Jays have gone over this line. We can go 8 plus here. So the Blue Jays have gone over this line in 70% of games this season, while Seattle, let's pull up Seattle page here. So we're going to go Mariners, and we're going to go total runs, 8 plus. The Mariners have gone over, and also, 6 out of 10 games to start this season. So now we want to see, okay, how did they perform last season? Because, again, larger sample size there. They went over, and the Mariners went over in, looks like 67% of games from this in last season. I'd be curious to see in away games, right, how the Mariners, 64% of away games. And then we want to see, against Toronto, right? Did they both teams go over? Only in 2 of 6 games, right? A third of games against each other. So that makes me a little worried there. So yeah. Let's see also versus starting pitcher. They didn't face Barrios last year. Another good way to look at these can be the parlay optimizer if we want to go total. So we can go Mariners, Blue Jays. We can add a game line. We can go total points. And we could go over for 8 plus. Or let me go back there and go 7.5. We're going to take the over. And then we can see using this, right? So a positive edge here based on this and last season, if we can consider factors like home and away, still looks similar. So Seattle have gone over 7.5 total points in 69% of games, while Toronto in 55. We can see to start this season, 65% of games, minus 185. Being offered at plus 110, a good edge here. I like this so far. Last thing would be to check the head-to-head. Head-to-head wasn't great last season. In the games, they did go over by quite a wide margin, but looked quite low scoring, though teams do change. So we could also see starting pitchers. Neither team faced these starting pitchers. I would feel like maybe it's a little early in the season for this one, Vidal. Like, I think the data checks out, but the sample size is rather small. But yeah, I think it looks, based on this season, based even on last season, it looks like we have a slight positive edge there, so it looks pretty solid. I want to move on to Garcia to record a hit, so we can go to the Rangers game now. Guys, I'd be curious in the chat, for those of you that are MLB fans, I know some are just betting fans, but I'd be curious to see in the chat, what team do you guys support? I grew up in the Bay Area, was a big Oakland A's fan growing up. Think Yoenis Cespedes, think that kind of era of the A's. My first time watching the A's was the likes of Frank Thomas, these type of players. And then when I really got into it, got a little bit older, was, Cespedes, think Grant Balfour, Sean Doolittle, Melvin's Misfits, Josh Reddick out in right field. That was like such a great time to be an A's fan. So I'd be curious to hear. Since then, obviously, the team's kind of a mess with the owner and everything. But with John Fisher. But overall, I think, that's my team. Joseph says Red Sox going to be a tough year. Joseph, I actually was living in Boston up to a few months ago. And yeah, it's going to be a tough year for the Sox. I mean, they struggled even last season too. But Fenway's a beautiful park. I mean, I went to a few games there. Absolutely loved it. Let me get back to this, though, now. But, yeah, guys, drop your team down below in the chat. So Garcia recorded a hit. And so far this season, he's recorded a hit in 8 of 9 games on a real good streak right now, which is great to see. Last season, recorded a hit in his home games. 65% of home games. So when we factor in a larger sample size, negative edge there. However, negative edge there when we factor in a larger sample size, though he is on a hot streak. So, and when it comes to hitting and streaks, like, that's a bigger thing in baseball, I would say. And again, games against Houston performed really well. Let's see if we can get specifically, though, against I'd be curious to see. It isn't popping up here. I'd be curious to see who's slated to pitch for. Let's go over here to Parlay Optimizer, and let's see who's supposed to be on the mound tonight for both teams. So it looks like Heaney's on the mound tonight. I'd be curious to see if we just go through the PO too. So Garcia. But yeah, I think he's on a quite a good hot streak. Let's see against. Not seeing anything there for starting pitcher data. So something to keep in mind. But I think overall performed really well on the road. At home. And particularly against Houston, seems to be on quite a good streak. Let's see in home games if there's any jump. Yeah, really well against Houston at home. That's a pretty, pretty strong rivalry there. So yeah, Garcia, I think at minus 285, he's on a good streak. You're not losing a ton of value over a longer period of time. Performs well against Houston. I'm liking this one. It could be an interesting one for a parlay material there. So thank you for sharing that one, Joseph. Moving on to, let's go. Jordan says Philly money line. Jordan, thank you for sharing and welcome. And for anyone wondering how we're researching all these props and parlays, this is all through Hall of Fame bets. If you want to check it out for yourself, I'm typing in Jordan Johnson instead of Philadelphia Phillies. I'm totally on autopilot sometimes. But yeah, if you want to check it out for yourself, check out the link in the description. We have a promo code to get 25% off your first month. I think some of the subscribers in the chat will speak to how good the platform is, particularly for MLB. I found a lot of success so far this season, so feel free to check it out. So this Phillies money line hitting 4 of 5 games. Let's see against St. Louis last year how they performed. When all their games it looks like 5 of 6 games against St. Louis they won. How did they perform in away games last season? 51% of away games. Have they played away at all this year? Yes, they have. Won 2 or 3 away games. Let's see versus starting pitcher. Won both games against Miles McCollum last season, so I think that's a really strong piece of data, and quite comfortably too. While they aren't on the best run of form right now, I think this looks pretty good here for the Phillies. The last thing I want to check is just making sure, St. Louis aren't on any type of streak. So let's take a look at the Cardinals page here. What's the money line being offered at as well? I'd be curious to hear. For the Cardinals, we see this is hit in. Cardinals have been in decent form, 5 of 10 games so far. Let's see against the starting pitcher for them, right? Against Turnbull, they lost last time they faced Turnbull in a close game. Against Philly in general, lost quite a few games. So I think this definitely does favor the Phillies, though they aren't in their best form. Another cool way to check it, again, like I did with the over, could be the parlay optimizer. So we could come here and we could see, okay, if we want to go games, we can go money line. Looks like it's being offered at minus 110. So if we go St. Louis, not St. Louis, we want Phillies. If we go, who do you guys think are favorites, by the way, to win the World Series? I'd be curious to hear. I think for me, it's probably got to be the Dodgers, right, with all their star power. But baseball's never that simple, though. So yeah, based on data from this and last season, 56% of games, minus 125, roughly what the books are offering us. But and plus 110 based on games this season. So, maybe a slight negative edge based on games this season. The data I'm really liking is in particular the starting pitcher data is 100%. I love that for this one. The head-to-head just in general is pretty good. So I'm liking Philly's money line for this. So thank you for sharing, Jordan. Let's go Castillo strikeouts. This was one I was looking at earlier today. A big thing with Castillo that I've noticed in the past, guys, a huge thing with him is definitely going to be his, whether he's playing home or away. Because Castillo at home, different beast, I'm telling you guys. So he's hit 5+ strikeouts in both games this season. Both games were at home, so that's something to keep in mind. Being offered at minus 200. In away games, he's hitting 67% of away games, minus 205. So odds that are on par with what's being offered here, which is a solid starting point. Now we want to check out some of the other data. Went under last season against Toronto. Looks like he just kind of ran his pitch count up. Overall, though, let's see how many earned runs, 2 earned runs, 5 innings. If he went 6, probably would get that total that he's looking for, right? So, yeah, I would say it's roughly on par with what the book's offering. Let's see. So, also the other thing would be to check the leaderboards, see how Toronto's strikeouts are looking for this season. That would be the other key point here. So the Blue Jays averaging, they're kind of eighth fewest strikeouts in the league right now. So that would also be a little bit of a con for me there too. I feel like at minus 200, I think this is a line he could very well hit. However, we're maybe not getting the value we want here. And I personally prefer to look at Castillo at home in general. It's just his away performances seem to be considerably worse. Though, again, he's still hitting 67% of them. So that's kind of my breakdown of that one there. Who was this sent by? Let's see. It was sent by Naz. I hope that was helpful. So let me know. But yeah, that's kind of my breakdown of it. I would love to now move on to some parlay stuff, guys. Let me in the chat what parlays you're looking at for tonight. I'm going to see if I can build something here live. I'd love to go back over to trends real quick and take a look at what we have. I know one that was suggested was Snell over 6.5 strikeouts. So I want to take a look at this one for someone as well too. So we're going to go Blake Snell. And we are going to go over 6.5 strikeouts. Taking the over there. Being offered at plus 146 on Caesars, which is interesting. Not sure if we're getting quite the same value in other places. So he's gone over in both. Has Snell? Thought he recorded a couple starts. Looks like not. Yeah, no starts so far for Snell. Um, but if we go to last season's data, right? Again, he's changed teams. In home games, went over in 69% of these games. Against Washington, went under, recorded 6 strikeouts. Um, so that's kind of some of the things we should keep in mind. How's Washington in terms of their strikeouts? Looks like Washington record. Where are the Nationals at? Okay. Last year they were recording a lot of strikeouts. This year at around 11th. So not a super high strikeout team to start the season. So Snell at that line looks pretty good. I'd prefer probably maybe parlay him at 5.5. I think that looks pretty good there. I believe it's his first game for. Let's take a look here. Just double checking. Yeah, looks like this will be his first game of 2024 for the Giants. I was just double checking that. I thought he had started, but I think he may have got delayed with an injury. So yeah, I think the Snell one at 6.5, if you can get it for positive odds, that looks really good. I'd be even curious to see. I don't know. Is he on a pitch? Is he on a pitch count? I'm just gonna double check. Let's take a look here and see. I think he may have. No injuries. Okay. So yeah, I think the Snell one looks really good. I'm liking. The only concern is against Washington, though. That was one game, one sample size, and it looks like he just got his pitch count. Excuse me, no pitch count, but he got his number of pitches up too high, and says no pitch count. Says Mitch. Yeah, I'm really liking this one over 6.5. I think there's some good value here, and again, home games again. The only thing is he's changed teams, so some of this data may not be as accurate as we want, but 69% of home games, and then was close against Washington last time. Washington aren't striking out a ton. That's where maybe you'd be a little safer at 5.5, but yeah, I'd be curious to see at 7.5 even, right? That's being offered at plus 280. That's maybe a bit even more of a risk, but he's hitting 56% of games last season, right? At 7.5. You can almost ladder these and put a little bit and just kind of juice them, right? Like you go a little bit more at 5.5, you go a little bit less at 6.5, and then the least at 7.5. That could be a good way to play this actually. Is bet those as individual props and kind of build them up. You can maybe even go 4.5. Just go, a higher amount, and then kind of considerably as you go up, lower. So that could be one way to look at this Snell one. I think there's some good data here. And, pitchers changing teams shouldn't be as significant as a deal. The concern here is that head-to-head data from last season. So, cool looking at that one. Let's see if there's something we could pair here maybe with a parlay. Let's see what we got. Just scrolling through here now. Castillo at 4.5 strikeouts, so that's that 5+ we looked at before that. That could still be interesting. I think Snell over 4.5 could be interesting. I think, or his 5.5 is really quite interesting as well. Let's see if we can build a parlay with Snell here. And guys, if you have any parlays that you've already researched for tonight, let me know down below in the live chat. We'll be curious to hear what you guys have for us. So we're going to go Snell, and we are going to go 5.5. And then what do we want to add to this? I'm going to go back in trends, select the game, and we want to go, where's the Giants game? It's going to be a later game, I assume. There we go. We're going to go get rid of these other props for now and kind of open it up. Okay. Let's see here. What do we think about? We could go Chapman under 1.5 bases. We could go Estrada. A lot of these are unders, right? Are there any Be curious to see. This is based on 2020. We're gonna go to 2024. What about Yastrzemski under 1.5 total bases? We'll take a look at this one here. So he's gone under this, in quite a few games this season. Last season went under. Oh, that's hits, my bad. Total bases. Went under in 66% of home games last season. So he didn't face the starting pitcher against Williams. However, went under in all 3 games against the Nationals. I like this one quite a bit. I think this could be a solid one if we go, because he's off to kind of a slow start this season. So if we go Yastrzemski under 1.5 total bases, Snell 5.5 strikeouts. Let's throw that in the parlay optimizer now. So we are gonna go. We're gonna go over to our parlay optimizer, guys, and we're gonna go. Where is it? The Giants game, the latest game of the night. We're gonna go. Snell. Oop. Snell's not gonna be in our parlay optimizer yet because he's changed teams, and we don't show data for players that have changed teams in the parlay optimizer. But overall, I think that could be a good, nice little parlay we've put together there. Would be curious to see, guys, what other props you guys may also have as well for tonight's games, or parlays you guys may have. I see Joe over 0.5 runs. This is a prop shared by Mitch. So we're going to go over here. We're going to go to Joe. And we're going to see his earned runs. So, runs. So we're going to go runs. We're going to go 1+. So to start this season, Joe's been on a killing streak, right? Recorded a run in 88% of games to start this season. Last season, Joe recorded a run in 31% of home games, plus 225. It's being offered at plus 170. So a negative edge there, but it looks like Pittsburgh's bats are quite hot. How about against Detroit? Recorded a run in all 3 games against Detroit. What about the starting pitcher? Not as much so. But I think when it comes to scoring runs, there's a couple factors, right? The first would be, right, of course, the first one with scoring runs would be the player needs to get on base. And then, of course, the players behind them need to be hot. It looks like Pittsburgh are a pretty hot team right now based on this information. So I think, this Joe one, there's quite a bit of upside. Again, you have to play safer here. But if we're looking off recent performances and then also against Detroit, I think it looks pretty good. The last thing would just be to see, is there any strong difference about different types of pitchers, right? Against right-handed starters, not a huge jump or change there. So Keon says, did you do Ozuna? I missed it. I can do Ozuna now. And then I think after that we will wrap this one up. So we're going to go to Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna over 1.5 bases. I know Ozuna has been hot to start the season. Really hot to start the season. So we're going to go to Ozuna. And we're going to go to total bases. And he's 2+. So 2+ is being offered at plus 100. This is hit in 50% of games this season. If we go to home games from this and last season, that's also 50%. So really, I like this because it's on par with a larger sample size. Now it would be to check starting pitcher. Had a really great game against Tehran in the second game. First game didn't record any total bases, so kind of split there. Against the Mets in general, I like this one against the Mets because the Mets are just really struggling right now. So I think this is a great one. In terms of, for the most part, it's kind of on par with what the book's offering. but we see his performances against the net. Excuse me, did I say against the Mets have been very strong. And then the Mets are just a team that are kind of, they're in the midst of it right now. It's been a real tough start to the season for them. In particular, their starting pitching struggled a bit. So, yeah, I think this total basis for Ozuna looks pretty good. I'd be curious at minus 250. This could be a good straight for tonight there, Keon. So, thank you for sharing that one. Guys, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I want to thank everyone for coming with some great baseball player prop and parlay research. I think we researched some really cool plays for tonight. Want to say best of luck to everyone with your plays for tonight. If you enjoyed the stream, if you're not subscribed to Hall of Fame Bets, these are the tools that you can have access to for MLB, and they've been absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, I think some of our people in the chat can speak towards that. So if you enjoyed it, check out the link in the description, and we have a promo code down there for you guys as well to get 25% off your first month. So anyways, I hope you guys all have a great night. Best of luck with your plays, and I will see the Discord members. Discord's included in your MLB subscription. I'll see the Discord members in our Discord-only live stream on... Keon says, I've been using it for 3 days, and I love it. Keon, that's great to hear, and I think, it's going to really help with some of those MLB plays and just plays in general you're working on. So that's great to hear. I'll see the Discord members in a Discord-only live stream on Wednesday. So, all right, y'all. Have a good one. Have a great night, and best of luck. Peace.